All right. So what did we just watch, bro?
We just watched The Howling.
Yes. The original.
First time viewing for myself.
And just to clarify, it was the original Howling from 1981.
Oh, there's more than one?
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of sequels and I think a half-assed remake at some point, yeah.
Oh, cool. Hey, I got some questions then.
They're all awful. And,
yeah?
Yeah, and a lot of them really aren't really connected to each other.
Oh, no?
No. The only one I semi-like is the first sequel to Howling 2. It's not a good film. It's one of those films that's so bad it's a good kind of film.
Okay.
So it's enjoyable, but you know you're watching a crap film from the get-go.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. But yeah, the rest of the sequels are just terrible. And they, as I said, they tried remaking it, I think, once or twice. I'm fairly certain, I think in the early 2000s, they tried to do a quasi-remake. I forget what they called it, but yeah, it was just bad.
So, basic plot of this film, news anchor gets a lead on a story, follows it, gets, I want to say mentally assaulted, but did she get physically assaulted?
Well, they kind of leave that a little ambiguous.
Yeah.
She definitely gets attacked. I don't think she gets, raped or anything, but she definitely gets attacked. That's for sure.
And she sees his face during that, right? And just forgets it?
Yeah, I think it's a mental block.
Yeah, okay.
I'm fairly certain it's a mental block. Yeah, because, well, it is dark in there, so it is maybe difficult for her to completely make out his face.
Yeah.
I know she semi-remembers later in the film through flashback after trying to remember and all that jazz about him being a werewolf. I think does she remember? Does she actually in the flashback? Do you remember seeing him as a werewolf?
I don't.
Or I can't remember either. So it's vague. It's hard to tell, but she definitely sees something.
Yeah. Something
that isn't quite human. I don't think she fully sees him, but enough to know this ain't right. And as I said, I don't think he goes on fully and sexually assaults her. Mm-hmm. I think he just attacks her.
Yeah.
However, in the novel that this movie is based off of, it's a little different because in this movie it's like basically Karen. I think her name's Karen White. She's more or less trying to track this, serial sexual assaulter and murderer. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of been corresponding with her. So, and she's a news anchor for a Los Angeles television station. So she, takes it upon herself. Well, not fully upon herself, but she takes it upon herself to kind of be, I guess the worm on the hook kind of thing to try to catch the guy, the bait. So she is working with the police, but as we can tell, the police are using inept equipment, because apparently their audio equipment doesn't work around neon.
Yeah.
Then again, it was the early 80s, so that may have been true. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But yeah, so she goes out to find him. She does, of course, they have communication issues, so they have to, go and try and find her, and they save her in the nick of time. And they, the younger cop goes, gun crazy and then shoots him.
Yeah.
But that's what I loved about the opening sequence, is nobody thinks to open the door.
Yeah. What if you shot her?
Or what if you shot the wrong person? You know what I mean? What if what you're hearing is coming from the film they're watching? So I'm let's just not open the door. Let's just shoot wildly and randomly, and let's hope we get our guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And they did, but I like the old guy, the old cop's with him. He's like, yeah, that's enough of that, son, because he's like, hey, you're an idiot.
Put that away.
Just be lucky you killed the right guy and didn't shoot the victim.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the plot is her trying to track him down, then him getting killed, and her getting mentally scarred from the incident. And then her psychiatrist sends her to this special resort he either helped fund or create or colonize, called the Colony. And realistically, the Colony is just, a cover for a group of ancient werewolves. And it turns out the guy who attacked her at the beginning was one of the members of the colony.
Ancient werewolves, like were they?
Well, I mean, just werewolves in general.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, was there like a lineage I missed?
No, it's just like it's a secret werewolf cult, right? So it's like, and they're ancient. Like they clearly live a while because the old guy was having issues, and he talked about living too long, and this needs to end.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So clearly they're older than they look.
Yeah, that's fair. And then her husband goes with her and gets turned into one.
Yeah, he gets seduced by the town harlot and gets turned into a werewolf, and then has sex with the town harlot, and then disappears for a good chunk of the film.
She could be pregnant.
And it's like, which is hilarious. And then after she disappears, what is it? After she sorry, and I heard it, he disappears. So he, at some point, her husband character does completely disappear from the film.
Yeah, he's
just, and then when you see him at the end, after she shot that random werewolf that attacked her, that turns out to be her husband, and you see him turn back, you never see his face, if you notice, in the backseat of the car.
Yeah.
They just do the close-up on his arm and that tattoo.
Yeah.
Which also doesn't look like it's quite in the same spot as the tattoo he had earlier. So it feels like somebody randomly just slapped that tattoo on some extra. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe he wasn't available, or maybe they had a difference of opinion how to take the character. But it's pretty much after like she has that argument with him. He disappears from the film, right?
Yes. I don't remember seeing him after that.
And then we technically really don't. Yeah. Because the next time we see him is at the end of the film when he's a werewolf and he attacks her, and then she shoots him and he turns back to being human and he discovers it's her husband. But as I said, they never do a close-up in his face. They just do a close-up in his arm to show the tattoo, so you know it's her husband. Yeah. And she says his name. Yeah. So it's like, okay. So clearly, either he left the project, or like he had another project to do and he was too busy, or they, as I said, they had a falling out. I don't know what the story is.
Something could have happened.
Something seemed to be up with that.
Yeah.
Like, unless that was just a creative choice. It's like, yeah, we'll basically just have the character wander out of the movie at this point. It's like, okay, sure.
And then at some point, two other people who are trying to get like a TV show. Okay, I think that was their plot.
Okay, there's the subplot.
Trying to get a story about the
well, I think honestly that was just there as filler to pad the runtime of the film.
Yeah,
because
probably.
That was like the B plot. Her best friend and her best friend's boyfriend, who both are co-workers with her at the studio, are trying to research the Eddie guy, who was the guy who attacked her from earlier, and then they go to his place to research like why he was this serial killer and sexual assaulter and all that jazz. Yeah. And then they go to his apartment and found out like he was big into werewolves and stuff, and then they start researching werewolves, and that's basically their subplot until the point where it's like, Karen needs help, so her friend goes down there to help her, and then stumbles upon the fact that like Eddie's still alive, Eddie's there's werewolves. Yeah. Then she gets attacked and killed. Then her boyfriend shows up to save the day and get Karen
called.
Out. Yeah. Well, yeah, because she called. But I mean, like it leads to him having to come out now. Yeah. And save the day and get Karen out of there, even though his girlfriend's dead at that point, and her husband's MIA.
And because he heard it on the call, he kind of knew that it was probably werewolves because of the sounds he was hearing. Because he was on the phone, right? He could hear the guy transforming.
And then that's when he went and got the silver bolts and went up there.
And he's like, okay, something's up. Grabs the bullets, takes him down, loads the gun, finds Eddie. Eddie's like, here, take the gun back. You're not going to hurt me.
Well, yeah, because he didn't think it had silver bullets in it. He just thought it was regular bullets. He said, here, take your gun back. Shoot me. See what happens. He's like, okay. Bam.
Bam.
Like, oh.
Yeah, the silver bullets.
Or like when he has to fight off the other townspeople, they're like, there's not silver bullets in there. And then they all start going down like flies.
Yeah,
like,
no,
that's silver bullets.
Yeah, so then he saves her because they ended up, the group grabbed her, and then they kind of like fight and escape, and they burn some of the barn, and then they gets stopped by the police officer, which was a character earlier in the film, and he turns to, and then they shoot him.
Well, the whole colony.
They try and get in the cop car, and they do the stall. Oh no, the car stalled.
I know that was annoying. I hate that trope. So they're driving in their car, and then their car gets damaged and blows up. I'm like, it wouldn't have blown up from that. He shot the windows.
Oh yeah, that was just a boom. It was like, what?
Yeah,
he shot the tires and the windows, and that was it.
Oh yeah, it's right. I'll give you that. He did shoot a couple of the windows, but there's only one tire he shot.
Probably.
It was the front passenger side tire he shot.
Yeah.
So they had a couple of windows blown out and one flat tire.
And that's the Achilles
and then
heel
that's
of the car.
ignition to make the car blow up.
Naturally.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah. That's how cars
I was gonna
work.
say they really didn't have to steal the car. They could have probably still made it out on that one. Granted, the one tire is a bit flat, so it would have been like clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah, but I think the explosion would have not. I know. It shouldn't have exploded.
The explosion's there because an idiot writer wanted to see an explosion, or the idiot director wanted to see an explosion.
Hey, it was gonna be cool. We have the budget for it. Let's blow up the car.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil.
In real life, the car wouldn't have exploded. And as I said, they didn't even need to really get out. They could have just made it on foot and made it in their car with 3 working tires and 1 flat.
Oh yeah.
Because people have done that before.
Yeah,
they've driven on a flat tire before.
But
it's not great for your rim.
I've driven on a flat tire before.
I was gonna say, fair enough. I was gonna say it's not good for your rim, but clearly in this case it's an emergency, so they're gonna keep going. They don't care. They're gonna bash up the rim as long as they get out of there alive, right?
Yeah. But instead, we got the Phil's exploding car, and then they go to steal the cop car.
And the trope of it won't start. And even though we saw it was working perfectly, a minute before, BS. I call BS on that.
So then they get attacked by another group of werewolves, which apparently is one of the ones that had her husband in it. And they eventually start the car and drive off.
Yes, that's right. They eventually get the cop car started.
Her husband is the only one that was able to grab onto the car, I guess, when they were completely surrounded.
I know.
With, the 2 suits that they had on set that day.
It's like they had 2 werewolves. Let's just randomly keep moving you guys around the car and shooting you from different shots and different angles to make it look like there's a horde of werewolves with the car, even though there's just Bill and Ted.
Yeah. And so her husband gets in the car. She ends up shooting him, finds out it's her husband, and then the end is them trying to get the story out there. So she got bit during that. Her husband bit her, and then goes on to the news broadcast and decides, I'm going to turn into a werewolf. And then there are some people who think it's real and some people think it's fake.
But I loved her werewolf makeup. So they established in the film all the other werewolves look alike.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason she turns into a were-terrier.
Yeah.
She looks like a cute little dog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but all the other werewolves are horrible, ugly beasts.
Yeah.
And they all looked alike regardless. Yeah. But she's gonna look different.
So then the her friend, which was the boyfriend.
Was it Phil? What's his name?
Who? Oh, I don't know if his name was Phil.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I was saying Phil was the guy in set who wanted the exploding car.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. So,
I don't remember his name.
So her friend's
Silver Bullet Boy.
Silver Bullet guy. Yeah. So in the end, Silver Bullet guy ends up shooting her.
Yeah, shoots her, and then you see some more people doubting and some people believing.
Well, no, I like that because after they shoot her, they do all that random cutting about showing people actually watching it.
Yeah.
And then some thinking it's real, some not. And then they end at the bar sequence where all those patrons are at the bar. And then they go down one by one, and they're like, oh, this is so fake. Or, no, man, that was real. She turned into a werewolf and he shot her. And the other guy's like, they can do anything with special effects. And the other guy's, you guys are crazy. Yeah. And then there's the one horny guy on the end is like,
let's get a couple steaks.
And my friend here is going to have hers raw. And
how do you like it, honey?
And that raw. And then it pans over to her, and it turns out it's the town harlot from earlier that apparently survived the barn fire and all the other stuff.
Which my bet is she's probably pregnant, and then she's going to start the coven again. That's
potentially, or she's just going to start randomly biting people in town now that she's in LA.
Yeah, she can. I mean, she could also make another Kevin by doing that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Or just eating people because she can do whatever she wants.
And then I love the end credits where they just focused on the like a diner cooking hamburgers.
Yes.
But what I love about that is like she orders a steak raw, and it cuts to the guy just cooking hamburgers well done. Then again, for a dive, maybe that's the closest you're gonna get to a steak in a dive. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we got steaks. There's a hamburger. It's beef, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But
yeah, kind of. So I really did like it. I thought the transformations were pretty cool.
yeah, I was gonna say like the actual
well
transformation makeup for the even like I was gonna say for the time, but even for today, it's pretty solid.
Pretty solid, yeah. Hold on.
Like if you were to take that that idea and apply some more modern like physical technology,
I wouldn't like it as much.
No. I don't mean like CGI in that, but
Oh,
I mean like how practical effects have come.
Yeah, okay, fair.
So
Yeah,
like they could even make it look more realistic
Oh, absolutely.
nowadays with the air bladders and stuff, using the same techniques. But no, what I'm saying is there's two scenes in the film that aren't like.
I was just about to say those are actually my favorite scenes in the film.
You know, okay, are we talking about the same thing? Where the
I think so.
Okay, so there's two scenes of transformation in the film that aren't like practical effects. One's an animation effect, and it's not like a CGI effect.
It's like a cartoon.
It's like a cartoon animation transformation, which is like it completely goes left turn. It's like, oh, okay, like yeah, sure, that doesn't make sense of the film.
Yeah.
And the other scene where it's not a physical transformation is when we see the stop motion werewolves for like a brief like 5 seconds at the end. There, I'm like, okay.
Yep, and yes, those are the scenes I was referring to.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I like them, because it's like completely noticeable that this is not
in line with the rest of the effects. Yeah. But I guess that's the only way they're gonna get multiple set in the picture and the frame at the same time together.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was a good film. I really did like it. Of course, there were the funny parts along the way, but which we mentioned a few oddities. Like, why would you do that? What did you think of it?
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I love this film a lot. It's a classic horror 80s horror film, and it's considered like the number 2 werewolf horror film from the 80s.
Nice.
Number 1 being An American Werewolf in London,
which is stuff.
And I think number 3 is considered to be Wolfen, which I don't know if I've ever seen Wolfen, but yeah, it's basically those are the number
Have
1.
I not seen this? And like the top 3 werewolf movies, have I not seen those?
From the 80s? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. You think I would have by now?
Yeah, I know. I don't think I've seen Wolfen. I've seen... Excuse me, boys and girls.
Bless you.
No, I've seen American Werewolf in London. Of course, I've seen this multiple times. But I don't think I've ever seen Wolfen. Yeah. But apparently that's considered the number 3 horror film. Oh, werewolf horror film for the 80s.
A sign of things to come?
Yeah, we might check them out.
Yeah.
At some point.
That'd be pretty cool. Acting seems pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I think you may have enjoyed the acting more than I did.
Yeah, that's probably true. I expected it to be a lot worse, though.
Fair enough.
I didn't have high hopes for it. And I was like, okay, it's actually pretty decent, and they were playing certain things fairly accurate, like to how it should have went down, and if it were a real situation, like how she played, like the emotional effect after how it went down.
I was gonna say,
I feel like it was portrayed fairly strongly, which
fair enough.
Yeah.
For me, I felt like the acting was fairly weak. The movie's quite enjoyable, but the acting's fairly weak. And as I say, I felt there was only 2 decent actors in the whole film. Well, 3 maybe. And those 3 actors were the guy who played the Silver Bullet guy.
Yeah.
Him. The doctor, the psychiatrist.
Okay. Yeah.
And the other one was... Wow, I just lost it. Who's the third one? It was the doctor, Silver Bullet guy, and...
Not the news anchor?
No, I don't... News anchor. No, it was, Oh, what's his face? The shopkeeper. Played by,
The gun guy.
I want to say his name is Dick Miller. I might be wrong.
I recognize him, but I don't know his name.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. But yeah, it was like those three were the strongest performances in the film. But the irony is, all three of those people had smaller co-starring roles, and they weren't the leads of the picture.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so I was like, so I mean, it was some weak acting. It was, but that being said, it was entertaining. And and it was a fun ride from
good story.
End. Yeah,
I liked it.
I was gonna say, yeah, decent story for a horror film.
Yeah,
especially an '80s werewolf horror film. So yeah, I could say it definitely had more, even though it wasn't a lot of a plot. It definitely had more of a plot than some of the films we've reviewed in the past.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend people go see it. How about you, brother?
Yeah, this just recently came out in 4K Blu-ray. That's why I kind of want to watch it again, see the differences in the upgrade in quality. And the 4K transfer, it looks fantastic. I believe it was Show Factory who released this. Studio Canal is the one who did the transfer, and Show Factory released it in North America. But yeah, it's an awesome film. It's a quintessential classic of the 80s, and as I said, according to most lists, it's the second best werewolf film from the 80s. So yeah, I'd recommend everybody at least checking it out once. And for those of you who are interested in sex and nudity in your horror films, this film has some, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
some nudity and at least one sex scene, and it's pretty noticeable.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what? Oh yeah, the actual sex scene. I forgot about that.
Back when horror films actually used to have a lot more sex and nudity.
Yeah.
Unlike modern day films, which they're too scared to put it in, even for an R-rated film.
Yeah.
It's like,
if you guys have seen it out there, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part?
Oh, me?
Oh, yeah, you as well, and them.
I don't think I really had a favorite part.
No,
it's
one part just stand out.
I could just like cheap out and say, oh, the sex scene was awesome.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Silver Bullet guy shooting the first one.
Oh, you know what? Silver Bullet guy shooting everybody he shoots in this movie.
Yes,
that's my favorite part.
Yeah,
where he just shows up at the end and everybody's like, oh, those aren't real silver bullets. So yeah, bam, bam, bam. Oh, they are really silver bullets.
We've lived long enough, you can't kill us.
Okay, so that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Silver bullet guy killing everybody with silver bullets.
Nice.
Yes.
That would be my favorite part, opposed to the animated scenes, for sure.
It's like, yeah, these don't stand out at all.
No. Well, brother, closing statements?
Sure, I'd recommend everybody at least giving this a watch at least once upon a time.
Yeah, and it's the first time viewing it for me, and I enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend others go and see it.
Yeah, as I said, I've seen this film multiple times over the years, and I still enjoy it every time I see it. So yeah, everybody check it out. Check out the 4K Blu-ray that's out there right now. It's probably the best picture quality I've seen in this film in years. All right, everyone, stay healthy and stay safe.
Adios.
Sayonara.